Harley-Davidson moving production overseas isn't just a business decision, it's a shattering blow punch to American pride, a warning siren for U.S. manufacturing, and a wake-up call the entire economy can't afford to ignore. So Harley made a choice. Not an easy one, not a popular one, but it was a survival move. By shifting production to its Thailand plant, it could sidestep the tariffs and keep European sales alive. It's not like they were abandoning America, the company argued. It was about staying afloat in a global market that punishes U.S. manufacturers. Still, for many Americans, it felt like betrayal. The brand that once represented American steel roaring down open highways was now assembling bikes thousands of miles from home. And that decision marked the beginning of a much deeper problem. What happens when even America's most iconic companies can't afford to build in America anymore? Harley-Davidson stunned the American public when it announced it would begin moving production of motorcycles sold in Europe to facilities overseas, specifically to plants like the ones in Thailand, Brazil, and India. The reason? A brutal 31% tariff slapped onto U.S.-made motorcycles by the European Union. This clearly didn't happen out of the blue. It was pure retaliation. The U.S. had just imposed heavy tariffs on imported steel and aluminum, and the EU fired back hard. And Harley? Let's just say they were unlucky enough to get caught in the crossfire. Before these trade tensions, Harley was already facing rising costs and shrinking margins. But then the EU tariff jumped from 6% to 31%. Doesn't seem bad on paper? Well, it instantly added nearly $2,200 in tariff costs per motorcycle shipped from the US to Europe. For a company trying to stay competitive globally, that was unsustainable. Europe accounted for around 16% of Harley's total sales at the time. Losing that market would have been catastrophic. And the price back home? It was absolutely brutal. The decision didn't just trigger economic strategy debates. It also hit American workers like a sledgehammer. In Wisconsin, where Harley-Davidson has deep roots and generations of loyal workers, the news felt real personal. Union representatives feared what many already saw coming. We are talking job losses, plant slowdowns. That's right, it's Harley-Davidson legacy we are talking about. Let that sink in for a minute. The numbers didn't lie. Within 4 months of the announcement, Harley shut down its Kansas City plant, cutting around 800 jobs. All while it was ramping up operations in Thailand, workers were blindsided at best. Many believed the company had used the steel tariff backlash as a smokescreen for outsourcing plans already in motion. The result? The most bitter sense of betrayal ever known. The political response was just as fiery. President Trump, who had once praised Harley-Davidson as a true American icon, turned sharply against the company. He accused them of waving the white flag, abandoning the U.S. in a trade war it was meant to win. He even threatened punitive taxes on Harley's imports and warned that their brand would suffer like never before. This meant that Harley was now caught between economic survival and political backlash. On one side, a hostile international market. On the other, a furious domestic base saw them as walking away from the American worker. Labor unions, particularly the United Steelworkers, issued harsh statements condemning the decision, arguing that it undermined everything American manufacturing stood for. Overall, the fallout wasn't only economic, it was emotional. Harley-Davidson suddenly found itself on trial in the court of public opinion. But here's an honest question. Was this really betrayal, or just a brutal business reality? To understand Harley-Davidson's controversial move, let's zoom out for a bit. You see, the global motorcycle market isn't a fair fight. While Harley gets hit with 31% EU tariffs, European brands like BMW, Ducati, and KTM face far fewer restrictions selling into the US. That's a massive disadvantage, not just in a symbolic way, but financially too. Because competing globally means playing by global rules, and Harley was getting crushed, with the European Union being one of Harley's top export markets, selling over 40,000 bikes there annually. Without a production workaround, they risked losing millions in sales and surrendering a key market to overseas rivals. So get this, the decision to manufacture abroad wasn't made in isolation. It was part of a larger pivot: cut costs, preserve global market share, and adapt to a shifting rider demographic. Harley's core buyers? Aging baby boomers, and they were buying fewer bikes. Meanwhile, younger riders wanted cheaper, urban-friendly models, not $20,000 cruisers. Harley responded by investing in foreign plants, electric motorcycle development, and lightweight models tailored to Asia and Europe. So was this a betrayal or a necessary evolution? For Harley-Davidson, it was strategic survival. A company trying to stay relevant while being squeezed by aging demographics, volatile trade policies, and stiff foreign competition. You see, domestic pride didn't pay the bills. Global market adaptability did. Whether it worked long-term is debatable, but at the time, the message was clear. Harley wasn't giving up. It was fighting to stay in the race, just not always from American soil this time. But Harley's move didn't stop with Harley. In fact, here's what that decision did. It sent a shockwave far beyond the motorcycle industry. It lit a warning flare for all of American manufacturing. I mean, if a brand as deeply American as Harley could be forced offshore, who's next, right? The implications are massive. U.S. companies are now calculating risks not just around labor or logistics, but around politics as well. When trade policies shift overnight, companies are left scrambling. Harley's response was a case study in how unpredictable tariffs can pressure even legacy brands into global relocation. This isn't only theory. According to the Peterson Institute for International Economics, U.S. manufacturing growth slowed by more than 20% in the 2 years following the steel and aluminum tariffs. Foreign retaliation made exports more expensive. Meanwhile, the U.S. saw no major rebound in domestic steel jobs, the very goal of those tariffs. Harley's shift highlights the broader threat. When policy punishes production, companies take jobs elsewhere. And it's not just motorcycles. Whirlpool, Caterpillar, and even auto giants like Ford have all cited trade instability as a factor in shifting or delaying U.S.-based production. Although the price to pay might have been in confidence. When American businesses start seeing foreign soil as safer ground than their homeland, it chips away at the very idea of American-made. Factories close, communities shrink, and the ripple effects are felt in local economies across the Midwest and beyond. This move asked a hard question. Can American manufacturing survive in a world this politically unstable? What happens now? Harley-Davidson's gamble may have bought them time, but the long-term future remains uncertain at best. As of now, the company continues to manufacture in both the U.S. and overseas, trying to balance patriotism with profitability. Although it is clear that the rules of American industry have changed. Today's manufacturers are forced to operate in a high-stakes chess game of tariffs, trade wars, and shifting consumer demand. The era of building everything in America and selling it globally without consequences is over. And this move was nothing less than a signal flare to every U.S. manufacturer: adapt or risk collapse. They've leaned into electric motorcycles like the Livewire, targeting urban, tech-savvy riders. This means that they're expanding their global footprint and investing in direct-to-consumer platforms. Whether this transformation will keep them afloat or dilute their iconic brand is still unknown. But the bigger picture is even more sobering. If current trade tensions persist and labor costs continue to rise without domestic incentives, more companies will follow Harley's lead. Without a thoughtful, stable trade policy and meaningful investment in American infrastructure, the offshoring trend could accelerate. The Harley story isn't just about motorcycles. It's about what happens when a national symbol is pushed to choose between staying loyal to its roots or surviving in a ruthless global market. And if the U.S. doesn't listen now, Harley-Davidson might be the first of many to ride off into the distance, leaving the American industry in the dust. Was Harley-Davidson forced into this by a broken system, or did they sell out their own legacy? Let us know your thoughts, and subscribe to stay posted with the latest news.